This is ABC 7 News at 6.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Peter Dubois. First tonight, the future of a medical practice in Bangor is unclear after a doctor's medical license was suspended for allegedly sexually assaulting a patient. This complaint made by a patient led to emergency action from the Maine Board of Osteopathic Licensure. Our Grace Blanchard starts us off tonight.
The Maine Board of Osteopathic Licensure suspended a Bangor doctor's medical license indefinitely following allegations of sexual assault. According to the notice of suspension provided by the board, Dr. Michael J. Gilmore was suspended from practicing medicine on May 9th after the board found it was an immediate jeopardy to the health and physical safety of the public who might receive his medical services, as stated in the document. Gilmore runs Maine Functional Medicine in Bangor. There, he offers functional medicine and some primary care services. According to the practice's website, functional medicine is an approach that looks at underlying causes of diseases to cure them instead of relying on medication to cover symptoms. The complaint filed by a young female patient accuses Gilmore of touching her inappropriately without medical reason. She claims he referred to doing the same to, quote, other girls that are about your age. Gilmore appeared for an initial hearing before the board on July 11th. The attorney for Gilmore said he and his client could not comment at this time as the hearing process continues. When we called the medical office directly, part of the message left on the voicemail machine says,
"You have reached Maine Functional Medicine. We are open for supplement sales, but due to Dr. Gilmore being temporarily out of the office, we have had to adjust our hours, and they may change daily."
Nobody from the board or the Attorney General's office were able to comment due to pending litigation. The next hearing is scheduled for August 29th over Zoom. In Bangor, I'm Grace Blanchard for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
The State Fire Marshal's office is investigating a fatal fire in Otisfield. A spokesperson says they were called to 1017 Main Road just before 11:30 Sunday night after two people were found dead inside a burning home. According to the spokesperson, the structure was a two-story residence that was approximately 100 years old. The medical examiner's office will do autopsies on the victims, and DNA will be used to positively identify them. They are believed to be 77-year-old Jean Jalbert and 65-year-old Donna Jalbert, who lived in the residence. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. A woman from Winslow had to be airlifted to a hospital after using gasoline to burn a brush pile. The Morning Sentinel reports the woman was in the backyard of a home on Benton Avenue Saturday when the incident happened. Officials say the woman received burns over 40% of her body. She was airlifted to Maine Medical Center in Portland, where she's listed in critical condition. The state fire marshal's office is now investigating. Authorities are urging members of the public to never use gasoline or other flammable substances to start brush fires. The Maine State Police are investigating after the bodies of 3 people were discovered at a home in Mechanic Falls. Mechanic Falls police discovered the 3 deceased individuals at a home on Highland Avenue on Saturday. Detectives and technicians spent the evening and night processing the scene. The deceased were transported to the office of Chief Medical Examiner in Augusta, where autopsies will be performed to positively identify them and determine their cause and manner of death. Maine State Police say there's no danger to the public, and they will provide an update once autopsies are complete. An officer-involved shooting in Augusta was justified. That's according to the Maine Attorney General's office. The incident began on January 21st around 11 p.m. after police say someone broke into an apartment on Northern Avenue in Augusta and threatened residents with a gun. Investigators say the individual, who was later identified as 22-year-old Liban S. Mohammed of Lewiston, shot at officers from the window of the apartment building. Several officers then returned fire. Mohammed was found dead inside the apartment after the shooting with a handgun by his side. According to AG Fry, officials say he'd been shot 3 times. According to the Attorney General, the officers reasonably believed Mohammed was posing an imminent threat of serious bodily injury or death when they shot him. He ruled they were acting in self-defense at the time they used that deadly force. It's often said that as goes Maine, so goes the nation. There's a push for a new constitutional amendment that hopes to make that saying a reality once again. Our Augusta reporter Corey Bouchard spoke to organizers to learn more.
people of Maine, the people in the United States are just tired of this current system where they feel like they don't have a voice in our political system.
Question 2 in last November's ballot referendum was about banning foreign money in Maine elections. It passed with an 89% bipartisan support, the highest percentage in any referendum in Maine's history. Currently, there is a proposed constitutional amendment in Congress that aims to reduce foreign spending in all elections nationwide. The Maine Ethics Commission recently gathered public comment from Mainers surrounding the issue. They received 42 responses, the most public comments they've ever received, with 40 of them in support of the amendment.
We see Republicans, Democrats, independents, third-party voters, business owners, state representatives, and dozens of concerned citizens all submitting public comments in support of the amendment.
Kerr says that Maine isn't alone. There are 21 other states with similar laws passed surrounding foreign money.
What we're seeing is that American people are ready for this reform. 77% of Americans across the political spectrum are getting behind the 4-Hour Freedom Amendment. 89% of people feel that money in politics is a threat to our representative form of self-government.
Kerr and his colleagues recently traveled to D.C. to gauge congressional response to the amendment. According to Kerr, they appear to have the backing of a large amount of Congress, including the delegation from Maine.
Every member of Maine's congressional delegation has expressed an interest in helping to solve this problem, bring more disclosure, and more representation to the people.
In order for a constitutional amendment to become law, it would need to have the support of 2/3 of each congressional body and then be ratified by at least 3/4 of all state legislatures. In Augusta, I'm Corey Bouchard for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Vice President Kamala Harris is leading former President Donald Trump in the first poll of Maine voters since President Biden dropped out of the race. According to the poll from the University of New Hampshire, 54% of Mainers surveyed said they would choose Harris over Trump in a new head-to-head matchup with no other candidates. That's compared to 45% who said they would choose Trump over Harris. The poll featured more than 1,400 likely Maine voters. According to the University of New Hampshire, the political party of those polled mirrored Maine's current political makeup. Congress has passed a proposal to require the federal government to purchase only American flags that have been completely manufactured here in the U.S. The U.S. imports millions of American flags from overseas. The sponsors of the proposal said it's time for American flags to originate in the country they represent. Supporters of that proposal, led by Republican Senators Susan Collins and Democrat Sherrod Brown of Ohio, said the change is more than just symbolic. They believe it will support American jobs and manufacturers while preserving the nation's most recognized banner. Senator Collins said, quote, "The American flag serves as a symbol of our identity, resolve, and values as one people. To honor its significance, the federal government should only use flags entirely manufactured in the United States," end quote. Supporters of the proposal said on Monday they expect the measure to be signed into law soon. All right, let's take a look outdoors and see what's heading our way in our first forecast.
All right, Peter, thank you. Happy Monday. Look at us today. 73 here in Bangor, 79 Millinocket. So comfortable but cool. The average high temperature being in the low 80s. We did not do that today, but warmer temperatures are on the way. A east wind today as well. Got a little squirrely for a while. We have wind gusts around 25 miles per hour. This will begin to come down tonight, and tomorrow will not be as windy as today was. All right, so there's lots of drizzle out there now, kind of overcast skies out there too, but that's just part of the problem because this thing over here, that is an upper level low. This is going that way. So we have clouds and rain showers in the forecast, not just through tonight, but through tomorrow and probably into Wednesday and Thursday as well. It's not going to be an all-day rain, but just know showers are in the forecast again for tomorrow. Our forecast then for tonight, though, is mostly cloudy skies, showers at times, with low temperatures down in the 60s. Your full forecast is coming up. Peter?
All right, Jeff, thanks so much. And coming up on ABC 7 News at 6, the Olympics are underway in Paris. We'll take a look at the latest updates from Team USA. And our Doug Banks headed out to Holden to highlight a staple of Maine culture. Those stories and much more when we come right back.
Look, here's a phone company who wants us to use our phones less.
That's ironic.
Yeah, but in a good way. Let's find us again with Us Mode. US Cellular. Built for us.
It's a free ride, but I already paid.
Summer savings going on now at the Furniture Gallery. Take advantage of hot buys in all departments. Queen mattresses starting at just $198. Recliners starting at $298. Sofas starting at $398. 5-piece dining sets $498. Sleeper sofas starting at $598, and clearance items up to 60% off while they last. At the Furniture Gallery, special financing is available. The best value for your money is always at the Furniture Gallery in Augusta, Bangor, Newport, and North Windham.
The sea off the coast of Maine is constantly turning, like our lives the past few years. Inflation, assassination attempts, a president unfit to serve a second term, and attacks on women's reproductive freedoms.
I'm Jared Golden, and I can't tell you what's coming next. But I do know Maine does better when we have independent leaders, no matter the weather.
And that's why I do this job for you, not for any political party. I was the only Democrat to vote against trillions of dollars of President Biden's spending because I knew it would make inflation worse. Worked with the Trump administration to build a treatment center in Maine for my fellow veterans and passed a bill to lower prescription drug costs for Maine seniors. Now, I'm fighting against Biden's electric car mandate while voting to increase domestic oil and gas production, working with Republicans to secure the border and standing with law enforcement against defunding the police.
I'm Jared Golden, and I approve this message because you deserve a congressman as independent as you.
Our phones were made to help us connect, yet somehow they've made us less connected.
Which is ironic.
Don't you think?
Ugh, I love this song so much.
Let's find us again with Us Mode. U.S. Cellular, built for us.
You're watching ABC 7 Bangor.
Welcome back. A big victory for Team USA Gymnastics in the Olympics, a milestone achievement the men's team hasn't achieved in years, plus the battle on clay and perhaps the last between two tennis legends. ABC's Ines de la Cuetara is in Paris.
Drama in men's gymnastics. The USA, which hadn't won a medal in the team sport since 2008, earning bronze in a down-to-the-wire finish. The team nailing their routines on the pommel horse, including Brody Malone, who fell during qualifying. Japan grabbing the gold, just edging out silver medal winner China, who faltered on the horizontal bar. A clash of the titans on the clay, Novak Djokovic getting the best of rival Rafael Nadal at Roland Garros, winning 6-1, 6-4 in the second round, and likely the last head-to-head match between the two. Following the match, the two who first played against each other at the same venue in 2006, embracing at center court. On the women's side, Team USA's Coco Gauff winning her match. She'll play Croatia's Donna Vekic in the round of 16. On the hardwood, the U.S. women's basketball team taking on Japan, beginning its pursuit of a record-straight 8th gold medal. More success in the pool for the Americans. Katie Grimes and Emma Weyant took the silver and bronze in the women's 400-meter individual medley. In the men's 200-meter freestyle, American Luke Hobson wins a bronze in a down-to-the-wire finish, with 4 swimmers finishing within 0.15 of a second. Over the weekend, New Jersey native Nick Fink took home silver in the 100-meter breaststroke. The medal is extra special. He and his wife Melanie, a swimmer who won gold at the 2016 Games in Rio, are expecting a baby.
She's really really supportive of me, and I think she was really excited jumping up and down to kind of see the results. So yeah, it'll be really exciting kind of going back and showing her the medal.
We're also hearing today from American fencer Lauren Scruggs, the 21-year-old Harvard student from Queens, New York, making history Sunday, winning the silver medal. She's the first African-American fencer ever to medal in the Olympics for the USA.
Growing up in fencing, no one really looked like me. So I think in order to kind of prove myself, I really had to be the best at the tournaments. And I think that my success in fencing has also kind of helped break stereotypes about, what black people can do and, who can be a fencer.
And tomorrow will be the men's triathlon. They were supposed to swim in the River Seine, but the last 2 training sessions had to be canceled due to poor water quality. Ines de la Cuetara, ABC News, Paris.
Just so many great stories to highlight in the Olympics, and still to come on ABC 7 News at 6. Our Jody Hersey caught up with 3 brothers from Stetson who got to meet their heroes. And in sports, highlights from Day 3 of the Maine Senior Legion State Tournament at Mansfield Stadium. That story coming right up.
Are your basement walls bowing, crumbling, or failing? Hi, I'm Tony Hafford with TC Hafford Basement Systems. All things basementy. Our Stable Lock wall system offers a patented, affordable, and permanent solution to save your foundation walls. It stabilizes, fills voids, and structurally repairs, leaving a new, smooth surface. All the strength of new walls. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementy.
When you have moderate to severe eczema, it's okay to show off. With Dupixent, show off your clearer skin and less itch. Because you have plenty of reasons to show off your skin. With Dupixent, the #1 prescribed biologic by dermatologists and allergists, you can stay ahead of your eczema. It helps block a key source of inflammation inside the body that can cause eczema to help heal your skin from within. Many adults saw 90% clearer skin. Some even achieved long-lasting clearer skin and fast itch relief after first dose. Serious allergic reactions can occur that can be severe. Tell your doctor about new or worsening eye problems, such as eye pain or vision changes, including blurred vision, joint aches and pain, or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop asthma medicines without talking to your doctor. Show off to the world. Ask your eczema specialist about Dupixent.
Whether you're hurt by a landscaping truck like this, a work van like this, or any commercial vehicle, we know how to get you the big money you may deserve.
Hurt by a commercial vehicle? Call the twos. We win for you.
This will be the best summer ever.
It's Toyota's Best for Less sales event. You can get 1.99% financing on most Tundra hybrid and gas models. See your New England Toyota dealer, your all-wheel drive headquarters. Toyota, let's go places.
Put a little more cash in your bank. Save money with half-off deals at foxbangor.com.
Welcome back in, everyone. Thank you for staying with us. We are going to start our day on the baseball diamond, the Maine Senior Legion State Championship Tournament rolling along at Mansfield Stadium with Day 3 kicking off this afternoon. Defending champs Trenton Acadians trying to stay alive against the Boothbay 36ers. Bases loaded with no outs in the top of the first. Peter Kablinski at the dish. He gets a hold of this one. That finds a gap. Dawson Curtis is going to come all the way around to score from first. So that is a bases clearing double for Kablinski. He would get to third on the throw, makes it 3-0 Acadians early. Next batter is Colin Sullivan. He gets on top of one and lines it into left field. Kablinski trots home from third, and this rally just keeps on going. Still in the first, Trent Goss at the plate. He singles through the hole at short. Sullivan is going to come around to score. And the first inning rally didn't stop there either. In his second at-bat of the frame, Miles Palmer ropes one to right. That brings in Aiden McGuire from second. Trenton would put up 10 runs in the top of the first inning, and Goss and Palmer would do the rest on the mound. Acadians move on with an 11-1 victory. And Heights Skowhegan just beat Bangor 3-2. Let's go to Gillette Stadium now. Patriots camp rolling along. Next Thursday is that preseason opener. New England holding their first full pads practice on Monday. Also, multiple reports coming out of Foxborough say disgruntled pass rusher Matthew Judon had an animated exchange with Gerard Mayo, and later Matthew Groh and Elliott Wolf at practice. Judon was in sweats and not practicing. Also not practicing defensive lineman Christian Barmore. He has been ruled out indefinitely after being diagnosed with blood clots over the weekend. Barmore is their most expensive defensive piece. He's being treated at Mass General. He says on social media that he will be back soon, but Mayo says there is no timetable for a return.
I think all these situations are different, and I'm not a specialist in that world, so I don't want to put a diagnosis or a timetable to come back. When he's ready to go, we'll be here waiting for him. I had a conversation with him. He's in good spirits, and like I said before, he's getting tremendous care, and his mom is up here too, so anytime mom's in-house, it's a good day.
Let's go to the Red Sox now. We are just about 24 hours out from the MLB trade deadline. We heard Craig Breslow say they were going to try and make the team better, and well, you guys be the judge of that. Boston making another move today after picking up James Paxton late last week. The Red Sox trading second baseman Nick York to the Pittsburgh Pirates. York is one of the Sox top prospects. He was called up to AAA Worcester a few months into the year and is hitting .310 with 6 homers since. Boston acquires a right-handed starter starting pitcher Quinn Priester. Former first-round pick, he has appeared in 10 games this year in the bigs with a .504 ERA. The Sox have optioned him to Worcester. We'll see if they have any more moves up the sleeves. That is all the time we have for sports. Here's Jeff Weller with your full 5-day forecast.
All right, thank you very much. The temperature results are in from June, and June came back as the warmest June on record globally. So that's land and ocean temperatures. So on this map, red's above average, blue is below. A lot of red during the month of June. For us today, though, below average temperatures across our neck of the woods. 73 here in Bangor, 67 for Bar Harbor because all the clouds around, some drizzle in there as well. The average high being about 81, 82. Nobody did that today. But look at all the heat to the west. We're the cool kids right now, 67 here in Bangor, but 90s across the plains. We will get more of this going that way, beginning really not so much tomorrow, but more so on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Upper 80s are still in the 5-day forecast. Okay, the wind today got a little squirrely, right? Out of the east, southeast, around 10 to 20 miles per hour. We had a few wind gusts near 25. This will die down tonight, and tomorrow it will not be as windy as it was out there today. But until then, though, a small craft advisory is posted for most locations. Wave heights on shore waves here are approaching 8 to 14 feet through about midday-ish tomorrow. All right, so the wind will die down tonight. Tomorrow we'll have some wind gusts near 15 to 20, not as windy as it was today, and it'll die down probably late tomorrow night as well. All right, it is blowing around allergens, though, in the air. As you can see here, the tree pollen's okay, weed and mold is okay as well. The grass pollen, though, moderate category currently, likely still going to go up and up and up from here as we all keep mowing our lawns across the area, right? All right, so tonight there's a pretty good chance of seeing the northern lights, but for us, though, it's going to be pretty cloudy across our area. We'll probably will not see that this evening, as that'll kind of go away pretty quickly. All right, lots of clear skies out there. Earlier gave way to cloud cover throughout the day today. Now it's kind of overcast, and the clouds will be increasing tonight into tomorrow. And don't be surprised, a couple of light showers and drizzle in there as well, keeping temperatures down across our region for today. But here's this low pressure moving very, very slowly, going that way at about 10 to 15 miles per hour. That's going to keep the clouds and moisture around through tonight, through tomorrow, really through Wednesday into Thursday, as it's pretty messy over here right now, and all of this kind of going that way. It's a very kind of rare summer pattern here is shaping up here across the Great Lakes. That will keep showers in the forecast for us probably into the weekend. Our forecast, though, tonight, though, is a couple of showers out there, more so some drizzle, some dense fog is likely. Look for muggy low temperatures down near 63 for tomorrow. All right, scattered showers and a couple of thunderstorms in there. High temperatures back up near 80. Most of us will stop just short of that tomorrow with the south breeze around 10 to 20 throughout the afternoon. And then looking ahead, your 5-day forecast shows a wet forecast, right? So not an all-day rain on any of these, but just know a chance for rain tomorrow, also for Wednesday, also for Thursday, also for Friday. Look at Friday's high temperature of 88, near 90 on Friday, before we get a little bit cooler on Saturday under partly cloudy skies.
All righty, Jeff, thank you. And there's more to come after the break. Stay with us.
Maine Paving is Eastern and Central Maine's go-to for all things paving. Maine Paving specializes in commercial or residential paving, grading, seal coating, and crack filling. And get this, refer someone that schedules a job and receive a $250 Visa gift card. Currently booking for this year.
An official message from Medicare.
A new law is helping us save more money on prescription drugs, and maybe you can save too. With Medicare's Extra Help program, our prescription drug premiums are zero and our out-of-pocket costs are low.
I enrolled and I'm saving money. If you're single and make less than $23,000 a year, or are a married couple making less than $31,000, you may qualify and save, even if you don't think you qualify. It pays to find out.
Go to ssa.gov/extrahelp.
As a Mainer, you know summer means one thing. Everyone wants to visit. Everyone also loves a good cocktail. Your big city friends.
The air up here is amazing.
Your old college friends.
Bro, you remember that time we almost...
Your mom's friends.
I remember when he was this big. Call your parents.
And of course, one for you. This summer, download the Maine Spirits app and find a cocktail for all your visitors, no matter how long they plan on staying. Always drink responsibly.
Hotels and welfare for illegal immigrants on our dime. Washington liberal policies opened our border and ended Remain in Mexico. And Congressman Jared Golden stood by, blocking common sense solutions. Worse, Golden voted to give amnesty to millions, yet opposed more Border Patrol resources. Now our communities are flooded with illegal immigrants, and Mainers are paying the price. Tell Congressman Golden illegal immigration is costing our communities too much. Reinstate Remain in Mexico.
Main Paving is Eastern and Central Maine's go-to for all things paving. Main Paving specializes in commercial and residential paving, grading, seal coating, and crack filling. And get this, refer someone that schedules a job and receive a $250 Visa gift card. Currently booking for this year.
Welcome back. Wild blueberries are a staple of Maine culture, and from late July to early September, farmers work around the clock harvesting the fruit. Our Doug Banks shows us how one Holden farm harvests the state's official berry.
It's a genuine Maine experience.
The city's noise can't be heard from Copeland Hill, but the music of harvesting wild blueberries is a Warren family tune.
I've been working here for a long time, since I was, I want to say, 10 or 11 years old.
This Holden farm has 3 generations working together, harvesting a Maine staple.
I like working with my family a lot. I get to work with my grandmother, my grandfather. Everybody in there gets along really well.
I love my grandchildren, I love my husband, my family, everybody. I mean, it is a family farm. If it wasn't for all of us, it wouldn't happen.
For 33 years, the Copeland Hill Wild Blueberries Farm has been harvesting on this 100-acre piece of land, 30 of it reserved for wild blueberries.
They're more or less a weed that produces a beautiful product.
The state of Maine's official berry is first raked and put into flats.
That rakes all of the blueberries and it kind of puts them onto this belt thing, and then they just dump into the flats right over there, and then I bring them up into the garage.
Around 500 pounds of blueberries per day goes through the 31-year-old sorting machine, and according to the farm's owner, Mother Nature has been in their favor.
For this particular farm, 2024 is an awesome year. We've had adequate moisture, we've had adequate heat, we're still fighting the animals, but that's nature.
Warren says they're 3/4 of the way through their season, with their eyes currently set on August 3rd and 4th, the statewide Wild Blueberry Weekend.
This is wild. You know, this is nature. You don't get this just everywhere.
In Holden, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Finally tonight, 3 brothers from Stetson are learning to appreciate the simple things in life and to show their gratitude to the helpers they meet along the way. Our Jody Hersey has more.
When you have 6 kids and 2 parents in one family, trash tends to accumulate quickly. Just ask the Ray family of Stetson.
We all come together as a team to pick up the trash, put it in bags.
Jonas, Josiah, and Jonathan Ray have been taking up the trash since they were 5. Now that these young men are 7, 11, and 12 years old, they have the system down to a science.
We would go inside and get the trash that's in the trash can and bring it down, and sometimes if it's too heavy or the bear falls over or something, the trash will fall out. It's quite a job.
This summer, the brothers came up with a plan.
Yeah, I don't think they got a thank you when they're working on trash, and I felt kind of bad for them, so I told my brothers maybe we should just write a note. We decided to be like pen pals with the trash guys.
The boys left their notes on top of the garbage lids.
My note said, my name is Josiah, and you're the best.
The trio recently received a letter back from the trash crew, thanking them for recognizing their hard work. So now the brothers are setting out drinks and snacks for their pen pal friends to give them energy throughout the day.
Without those guys, the environment would be, trash would be everywhere. But with their help, they're like superheroes.
Superheroes who have young fans that appreciate their heroic acts to rid the world of garbage. In Stetson, I'm Jody Hersey for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
And it's those simple acts of kindness that can make a big difference in someone's day. Love to see that. All right, well, that's going to do it for us tonight. Everyone, thanks so much for tuning into ABC 7 News at 6. Have a great rest of your evening. And for more, join us on Fox 22 News tonight just after this.
This week, the rapid DNC timeline, the virtual roll call, and a potential VP pick. What happens next? Plus, J.D. Vance's comments, the growing backlash. More Americans turn to world news tonight with David Muir, the most watched newscast on television.
New car, new house, new motorcycle. Come on down, car insurance.
Howard Insurance Agency has the privilege of 150 years in the business and represents several companies for your insurance. With local offices in Dover, Foxcroft, Dexter, and Newport, we are happy to help with your home, auto, commercial insurance, and more. Call us today for a free quote and see how much we can save you, or go to our website.
The Make It Ford Summer Sales Event is on. So make it your best summer ever with Ford.
Clean up after you, I would say the same thing. Truth is an absolute defense to a claim of defamation of character.
Yes, Your Honor.
Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $400. You count the claims dismissed. Thank you, we're done.
Parties are excused and they step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And on the next Judge Judy.
My opinion's the only one that counts.
To me, I'm not a bad guy.
I'm very happy with it.
Yes, I probably left the place in disarray.
If he would have just paid the money, that's all I was asking.
Try not to let this incident get between us.
Work has nothing to do with what happened at my house.
This is Fox 22 News Tonight.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Peter Dubois. First tonight, the future of a medical practice in Bangor is now unclear after a doctor's medical license was suspended for allegedly sexually assaulting a patient. This complaint made by a patient led to emergency action from the Maine Board of Osteopathic Licensure. Our Grace Blanchard has the details.
The Maine Board of Osteopathic Licensure suspended a Bangor doctor's medical license indefinitely following allegations of sexual assault. According to the notice of suspension provided by the board, Dr. Michael J. Gilmore was suspended from practicing medicine on May 9th after the board found it was an immediate jeopardy to the health and physical safety of the public who might receive his medical services, as stated in the document. Gilmore runs Maine Functional Medicine in Bangor.